My name is Rosalind. I'm a housewife. I'm currently living with my husband Kevin's family. My father-in-law has passed away, so it's me, my mother-in-law Emily, Kevin, and our 6-month-old daughter sharing the house. But let me tell you, Emily is someone I can't let my guard down around. She's super protective of Kevin, even checking to see if his shoelaces are tied. She hasn't cut the apron strings yet. That would be fine, except she calls me the thief who stole Kevin. I'm at my wit's end. I've tried just to ignore her and not to get too involved in her life. But there's a limit to that too. Whenever I'm doing housework, she has something to complain about. If you wash dishes like that, they won't get clean. Do it right. Or, your cleaning is too shallow. Spend more time and vacuum every corner. I thought I was doing everything properly, but she always starts with criticism. I didn't know what to do. Worse still, Kevin doesn't do anything to stop her. All moms are like that. Just get along, is all he'd say. I'm not looking for advice on how to get along. I want him to stop her. But even if I say that, he only responds with, "Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law conflict is your issue, not mine." So I couldn't count on Kevin, and Emily made life unbearable every single day. My only solace was raising our newborn daughter. I can honestly say my daughter keeps me sane. But recently, Emily came up with a new way to harass me. "You're cheating on Kevin, aren't you?" "What?" I couldn't help but raise my voice. I had no idea why she would think that. When I asked her why, she said, "Kevin's coworker has been mentioning your name a lot lately. Why would his coworker know about you?" I had no clue. Maybe Kevin told his coworker about me, but Emily wouldn't even consider that. She kept calling me an adulteress and even started saying that our daughter was the product of an affair. This kid is genuinely mine and Kevin's, I swear. I'd even be okay with a DNA test. But whenever I suggest that, Emily just dismisses it, saying, "Science isn't trustworthy." If you can't trust science, then what can you trust in this world? But that's just how Emily is. She never stopped accusing me of cheating and kept harassing me. At times, she'd splash water on me or intentionally startle our daughter, who I was carrying on my back, making her cry. Having to soothe my crying daughter each time was mentally draining. My daughter was undoubtedly stressed too. Through all this, Kevin didn't lift a finger to help. What does he think of our daughter and me? Days passed in this toxic environment of Emily's harassment and Kevin's indifference. Then Kevin decided to invite a colleague over for dinner. Turns out, it was the same colleague who had ignited the cheating rumors in the first place. Thinking this could clear the air, I agreed to join the dinner party. On the day of the dinner party, I was eager to clear up the misunderstanding, but as soon as it started, Kevin and Emily chugged their beers. Meanwhile, I was stuck making appetizers. No chance to clear the air at all. I really want to resolve this misunderstanding, but finding the right moment to talk with my colleagues has been impossible. While I was wondering what to do, Emily and Kevin got completely drunk. There's no way I can clear things up now. Then Emily starts to make a scene. Worried that she'd break stuff, I tried to stop her. Big mistake. Emily grabbed me and yelled, "You cheater! Don't slack off!" and poured beer all over me. I was okay, but the beer splashed on our 6-month-old daughter as well. She ingested some of it. Neither showed any concern that our daughter had consumed alcohol. Thankfully, the sober colleague realized the gravity of the situation and called an ambulance. Kevin and Emily were angry, saying, "You ruined our good time." But they were far from rational. Who gives a baby beer? Yet they're not worried at all, which is just unbelievable. My daughter and I had to rush to the hospital in an ambulance, and she had to be admitted immediately. The coworker has come along looking incredibly apologetic. It's not the coworker's fault, but still. The next day, thankfully, my daughter was out of danger, but they decided to run some tests and keep her in the hospital for another day. When I returned home, both Kevin and Emily were glaring at me. "See, I told you, this woman can't be trusted." Emily said to Kevin. Emily was giving Kevin an earful. She said that me going to the hospital last night with my colleague was proof of an affair. I was baffled, truly. My daughter could have lost her life, and her real father wasn't even there for her. I think that's a lot more serious, don't you? Emily came up to me and said, "You cheating witch! You went to a hotel, not a hospital, didn't you?" I couldn't take it anymore. I raised my hand to slap her. Then Emily shrieked, "Oh my God, she's hitting me! I knew she was a devil!" Kevin took Emily's side, making me out to be the villain. "What a terrible wife you are! You do want to be with that other guy," Emily added. My head began to ache. Why is their thinking so twisted? I couldn't take it anymore. My daughter was in the hospital, and I didn't want to stay in that house a second longer. I found myself running aimlessly, and before I knew it, I was at a nearby park. I sat down on a swing and started to ponder what lay ahead. What if the test results show that my daughter has severe long-term health issues? What if, in the worst-case scenario, the test revealed life-threatening complications? As these thoughts swirled in my head, tears started to flow uncontrollably. But I knew that sharing these worries with Kevin and Emily would be pointless. They'd never understand. They'd probably say, "If you're so worried, she must be the child of your affair." How could they be so callous toward their own daughter and granddaughter? Lost in thought, my colleague appeared at the park. My coworker listened to my worries and concerns, occasionally nodding along. Getting it all out felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I was embarrassed to cry in front of my coworker, though. Once I had cleared my mind, I decided to ask my coworker something that had been bothering me. "Why did you tell Kevin my name?" Kevin's colleague had something surprising to say. It was a golden opportunity to get back at Kevin and Emily for all the awful things they had done. With my colleague's help, I planned my perfect revenge. "The moment you walk in, look who's with her," Emily spouted as I returned home. Kevin glared at me with contempt. "I can't believe it. I thought you were a good colleague." I let out some harsh words toward my coworker. It seemed like they didn't want to admit that they might be wrong. My coworker looked upset and started to say something, but I interrupted. "Kevin, you're getting fired." Kevin looked confused and said, "What?" Clearly, he didn't understand what was going on. Well, it's understandable. This is pretty out of the blue. I decided to explain things step by step. "My uncle is the CEO of the company where you and your coworker work." "What? Your relative?" Kevin's astonished. Can't blame him. Even I didn't know this at first. I've been friendly with my uncle since I was a child. He always treated me well. This New Year's, he was even moved to tears seeing my newborn daughter. He had always said I could turn to him if I ever needed anything, but I never thought he'd be Kevin's boss. The reason our coworker knew so much about me is because my uncle showed off pictures of me and my daughter at a party. It's clear he truly cares about me. "So why am I getting fired?" Kevin interrupted my explanation. I thought it would be obvious why he's getting fired, but Kevin seemed slow to catch on. My daughter was urgently hospitalized. My uncle naturally was furious. My coworker had reported the incident to my uncle, and as a result, Kevin, the mastermind, was going to be fired. Kevin still wasn't convinced. "This is ridiculous. You can't fire me over something like this." I wanted to say the same thing about his ridiculous claim. Sure, Emily was technically the one who spilled the beer, but Kevin didn't stop her. "Kevin, why didn't you stop her?" When I asked Kevin, Kevin said, "I thought that baby was a result of an affair between the coworker and you." How long will he keep saying such stupid things? I was too stunned to respond. Then Emily chimed in. "Exactly. It's your fault for having an affair in the first place." Emily seemed very angry, but her claim had no basis. My coworker and I never had an affair, and we've clarified this to my uncle. No matter how much Emily shouts about an affair, her claim won't hold water. Just being fired wouldn't be enough for me. I had prepared something for this moment. "Sign this." What I presented to Kevin was a divorce petition. He was shocked yet again. Perhaps he never imagined things would go this far after all the terrible things he'd done. If you think I'm just here for your convenience, you're sorely mistaken. Are you kidding me? There's no way I'm agreeing to a divorce. Kevin brushed off the divorce papers I had presented. Even if you refuse the divorce, we'll just end up in mediation. I have detailed notes on every wrong you've committed against me, complete with dates. With ample evidence documented, mediation would likely swing in my favor. So even if Kevin refuses to divorce, it would only waste time and money if we went to mediation. I'm asking you to stop this pointless resistance. When I told Kevin this, he burst into tears, saying, "Please don't divorce me. I don't want to lose my job either." Well, he should have thought of that before allowing Emily to harass me. Now it's too convenient for him to ask for forgiveness. Throughout this conversation, Emily looked on blankly, as if this had nothing to do with her. As if she wasn't the root cause of all this trouble. That's not happening. I had also prepared a strategy to make Emily pay for her actions. Emily, you'll need to compensate for all the wrongs you've done. When I said that, Emily started to panic. Why me? We were talking about Kevin. While Kevin is guilty, the direct harassment came from you, Emily. It would be strange if you weren't punished. Both Kevin and Emily refused to accept it and began making excuses. Like mother, like son, I thought. Emily starts shifting the blame onto me. If our reasoning is correct, then it's not our fault. You're the one who's making us uncomfortable. So it's your fault. She insists. If we let this kind of logic slide, it spells the end for any kind of reasonable society. That kind of behavior is absolutely not allowed. Please grow up and take responsibility for your actions, I said calmly. Both clung to me. Stop this. All this started because of the affair, right? Let's just forgive each other and move on. Forgive each other? For the last time, I never cheated. Emily made it up in her head. Her grip on reality was slipping. This must be a dream. There's no way something like this could happen to me. Kevin, you must be dreaming too. She seemed desperate to escape reality. Kevin was overwhelmed, worried about losing his job and the potential alimony. What am I going to do now? How will I live? My life is over. He seemed anxious about his future. Well, he brought this on himself. I hope he learns from this. Look, I'll be consulting a lawyer for the next steps. From now on, let's communicate through my attorney. Goodbye. With that, I left the house. I could hear Kevin and Emily shouting something, but no matter how loud they were, I didn't turn back. Afterwards, I consulted a lawyer, divorced Kevin, and received a significant amount of alimony. Thanks to my coworker, Kevin lost his job. He tried to find a new one, but was unsuccessful, and now he's scraping by, with day labor wearing himself out. Emily, because of her betrayal, ended up paying me a hefty sum, draining her retirement funds. She couldn't get by on her pension alone, so she started part-time work at a supermarket, but she hurt her back lifting heavy things and ended up bedridden. Kevin had to step up and take care of Emily. Despite having no prior caregiving experience, the burden became so overwhelming to him that he had to quit his day job. Emily, who never really cut the apron strings, and Kevin, who had accepted this dynamic. I used to think their unique relationship would last a lifetime. However, the moment Emily needed care, I heard Kevin started treating her like she was in the way. After all the terrible things she's done to me, her son mistreating her now must make her regretful. It's too late for regrets. I hope she spends the rest of her life lamenting her choices. Eventually, through an introduction from my uncle, I met a new man and remarried successfully. Now, I live happily with him. I can't thank the coworker and my uncle enough for helping me out. I plan on repaying this kindness little by little for the rest of my life.